Let's go. I'm rolling. I got my energy drink. Hold on. Okay.
So Dan, I just
Do we want to clap sync?
I'd like to float something here. I'd like to
Do you
float
want to clap
something here,
sync
you
before we
fucking
do
jackass.
this?
No. We'll clap sync after we do this.
Okay, you better leave all this in.
You do this thing where someone makes a mouth noise, you're like, hey, don't do that. Or someone burps,
You know
and you're
what?
like, I'm
That's
gonna
so
fucking
valid.
strangle you. And then you gargle monster into the microphone, and then really loud. And it's just like, that's the same thing, right? Except when you do it on purpose, it's so much worse than when I'm just sitting here and I like go, oop, excuse me, and you're like, I'm going to kill you. But then you're like, there we go, a nice hearty meal. And I just have to sit here and listen
suffer.
to you. You hypocritical bastard.
I will admit, I do not get the same visceral reaction from like slurping as I do from burps specifically. But I agree it is the same thing, and I do apologize.
Wild, because outside of like cultural circumstances where burps are like, oh, this is how you show your like, or slurping, I mean, or it's like, this is how you show your like appreciation for the food is you're slurping it up real quick, which is something that I haven't interacted with in real life. I try to make as little noise while eating as possible because I'm self-conscious about what it sounds like when I'm eating. And as such, I hate hearing slurping more than anything.
So,
I hate hearing people eat.
So full disclosure, there's actually I can't remember what's fucking called. There's a thing about that people have like specifically targeted anxiety about hearing people eat. Anxiety about hearing people eat. Misophonia. Otherwise known as selective sound sensitivity syndrome.
Nope, that's not it.
That's what this says. Individuals.
No, I'm saying that's not what mine is.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say the reason I'm bringing it up is because Michelle has it. And so I get called out a lot.
You got to take all your chances to burp whenever you can when she's not around.
No, I don't like.
Thank goodness Michelle isn't here. I can't wait to let loose with a big slurpy one.
I really don't like burping in front of other people. That one I definitely get grossed out about. I think the only time I definitely do slurp more than I think I do. I definitely make a lot of mouth noises like when I eat. Michelle's called me on it many times. She literally just like looks at me and is like, fucking eat nice. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I love this is not to call Michelle out. Hey, Michelle, love you.
I love her.
I love when we've all been out to dinner together and then she'll look at you and be like, Daniel, can you stop? And I'm just like, oh, that was a normal sound. Damn.
Yeah,
I feel self-conscious now. But then I'll say that and she'll be like, no, when you do it, it doesn't bug me. But for whatever reason, he does it. And I'm like, that sucks for Dan. And then I go back to eating my chicken wings.
Well, it's also, if you ever notice when we go out with Michelle, about 7 times out of 10, she will have like an earbud in at the dinner table. And people often think it's like a rude thing, but it's not. It's if she has something else that she can dial
she's
in
got
on.
some other like sound going on, just like some
playing,
background music that she can. Oh, that makes a lot of sense,
right? Yeah, it's super wild. Realistically, you'll probably catch her at the wedding because it'll be a massive room full of our closest friends all chowing down. And I'm going to tell you a big secret. I don't think our friends are going to eat real quietly and like very prim and properly. I don't expect that of them. I don't want that of them. I've met
your friends, and I gotta be honest, I don't think they're gonna do it either. Me acting like I'm not one of the friends that's going to be there.
Me, an actual friend.
Me, a friend. Yeah, Dan, your friends are assholes. Garfield looking at the sign. I wonder who this is for.
Well, the sign can't stop me because I can't read. But yeah, no. She has a huge trigger. I mean, I almost wonder if I should like. Nah, she's talked about it enough. It's a huge trigger for her. And so I almost by like association have picked up a bit of. I don't know what to call it beyond like almost like an empathic like. If I'm on a call and I hear someone burp, I know it's going to bother her a lot. And so it bothers me, if that makes sense. Like it's almost like a secondhand anxiety that I've picked up. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have a good excuse beyond just I apologize for sometimes slurping into the mic to prove a point.
I'm going to prove a point about how rude you are. You'll never guess how I'm going to do it.
How are you going to do it, Noah?
Like this. 3, 2, 1. Dan, I think we all can agree that actually, no, I was going to set you up with a fun conversation thing here, but I actually have something to complain about first. And this is about Jeff. Fuck you, Jeff.
Yeah, fuck you, Jeff.
I tried to intro the podcast yesterday because we're back on recording the horror podcast.
Nice.
And we were doing the movie Fresh.
Okay.
But I wanted to tell a story about my coworker who ate dollar store tuna and got food poisoning as our cold open.
Okay.
Which I think you can already, like, you don't need the story to know that went, I mean, I summed the whole thing up. It didn't go well. You know that. But, you know, I opened it up with, so I think we can all agree that there are some things in life you just don't want to explore. And Jeff cuts in saying, why are you pretending we were having a conversation? I'm like, wait, what? I literally wasn't. He's like, no, you definitely were. I don't know how long Jeff's been listening to this podcast. That's how I intro every opening bit I've ever done. Is you just go into it with a statement. It's not. I'm not pretending Dan and I were talking before when I was gonna intro him into this conversation, which I will now intro him into when I'm done with this bit. But hey, wise guy. I always newsflash, asshole. I've been introing bits like this the entire goddamn time.
Oh, that's so good. No, it's so real
Anyway.
though. It's such an interesting. So I can talk about this a little bit because Dave and I have already been talking about figuring out what to do with it next. Even I've been starting to work on like a side project that you got to listen to and trying to like explain, not the exact same situation, but trying to explain like things that for me now that I've been doing this podcast for like what 4 years, 3 years, however many years,
they just feel very normal.
Exactly, like, they feel very normal.
You are aware of the fact that you're going to have an unnatural sounding conversation to kick off the rest of the conversation.
That's how it works.
Because in real life, actually, no, I do this in real life too. Podcasting has poisoned my brain. In real life, I would never, hypothetically, open up a conversation with, so I think we can all agree, but also, you know, that's how retail conversations work. You pick up in the middle of a conversation that wasn't happening so that you can continue it, you know. But that's exactly what I did. I was just like, you know, you know how it is. It's hard to explain that to a fresh crew.
Mm-hmm. It's also it's a little bit of the same like energy as like it almost feels inflammatory like coming in with that, right? Like I don't know, I feel like whenever I say something like that, it's always like, so I think we can all agree, thing that absolutely no one agrees with.
Or something that like is very safe, like I would never want to try dollar store tuna. We can all agree with that statement. You may have some asterisks like, well, the dollar store down on 32nd and Mulholland is actually, it's quite a nice dollar store. So it's like, okay, maybe you trust that one. But the one that I work near, I'd never trust it. I get packaged snacks that are packaged and snacks, and that's it.
110% agree.
I'm glad we're on the same page there.
I think we can all agree.
I think we can all agree that we are on the same page. Anyway, let me get the real start of the episode going. Now that we're like 9 minutes
roasted
in.
Jeff.
So Dan, I think all of us really enjoy a good fighting game from time to time. Is that right?
No, I actually don't like fighting games.
Work with me here, Dan.
Why are you acting like we had just had a conversation about this?
I'm gonna murder you. But while fighting games are always a good time, I think you can agree with me. The only thing better than a fighting game is product placement, the fighting game.
Of course. Before we continue this conversation, did you watch the trailer?
Oh, no. But I've been seeing it on my Twitter feed for the last 3 days.
It's so dumb. I'm so excited for this. Okay, so we're talking about so MutiVersus is Warner Brothers answer.
A Warner Brothers Yeah.
to like Smash and to whatever the Nickelodeon All Stars was. It is a fighting game about.
That was it.
It's 2v2 fighting game with a bunch of Warner Brothers and Hanna-Barbera and like Cartoon Network and Hanna-Barbera characters. It's
So I think our very first most important fact.
Yes, please.
Warner Brothers owns Mortal Kombat.
That's right, they do.
So right from the get-go,
they decided not to do another Mortal Kombat game.
No. I do honestly trust this game more as even a vague connection to the people who are in with Mortal Kombat. Now, I don't think that the studio that does Mortal Kombat is working on this, but they have, like, the company already has a precedent of working with this style of fighting game, kind of. So I think just turning it into a Smash clone, it honestly does make sense, and I think it can work.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think that it's very much in much the same way that you had like the old was it Mortal Kombat? What is it? Not Marvel versus DC. What was the old DC fighting game?
It's not Marvel versus Capcom. It is Injustice.
There was Injustice, and then there was another one where like Batman beat the shit out of somebody else. I don't remember. Whatever. Yeah, Injustice works. You have something like Injustice, which works really well because it's all contained within the same universe. You have something like Mortal Kombat, which is like completely separated from like any reality. So like you get to have fun, dumb things. And then you got this, which is like almost like a cartoon. It's a cartoon version, right? And I won't lie to you. There's something that's going to bring me a whole lot of joy about being the Iron Giant and punching Shaggy in the face. That's going to be very funny. There's just something
going to be very funny.
And the fact that the Mad Lads, I don't know if you've seen it in the trailer, because they were like, I don't know what to do with Shaggy. They did the meme. They made him.
Yeah, they did the meme.
They made him Ultra Shaggy, and I appreciate that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I appreciate that very much. I think that's very funny.
Definitely, just a normal sandwich munching mystery solving guy with limitless power of unknown origin.
Yeah, which is apparently like from like a Scooby-Doo episode. Like there is actually a basis on that. That's not just pulling that out of their ass, which is wild.
That's fucking stupid and insane, and I love it.
I love it so much. And like Harley Quinn is friends with Tasmanian Devil, and it's great.
I'm gonna run through the fighting roster that we know so far.
Yes, it's very small.
We got the Iron Giant. We got Taz. Iron Giant from Iron Giant. We got Taz from Looney Tunes, along with Bugs Bunny. We got Velma and Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. We have Batman and Superman and Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman from DC Comics. We have Finn the Human and Jake the Dog. We have Rain Dog from
this game.
This game. Okay, cool. Rain Dog is from... That makes sense because it's the only one that looks like shit compared to everybody else. It's like, oh, this is a IP of the game. That actually adds up a lot. Let's see. We have Steven Universe and Garnet from Steven Universe. We have Tom and Jerry from Tom and Jerry. And out of left field, we have Arya Stark from Game of Thrones.
I will say, one of these things is not like the other.
And it's the Iron Giant.
Iron Giant is actually very weird. I won't lie to you. That's a weird choice to put in a fighting game. A notoriously pacifistic character.
That was okay. So I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something I was seeing on Twitter. But people were saying it as if it was like the most insane, never could happen ever.
No, it's just weird.
And it's just like, okay, I get it. Maybe it's not the best casting, but also for the love of God, it's a video game. It's not that deep.
Well, and you do
and
have
besides, I love Iron Giant. Look at that design. The dude's just a dude.
He's just a guy. He's just a big guy. There's a great gag in the trailer about him like seeing Superman and kind of low key nerding out, and that's great. That's cute.
I was just about to say that, like
it's
him
cute.
and Superman being like a tag team fight group. Come on,
that's cute as fuck.
That's great.
I love it.
That's really good.
I will say I had heard. So this game apparently was announced a while ago. This isn't like a brand new thing. The trailer just came out, which is why everyone's talking about it.
As soon as I saw Arya Stark in the cast, I'm like, oh, I remember this. And Dan, dare I say, we have talked about this before.
We might have.
Because the first conversation I was thinking to bring up was, wow, they really managed to nail a style where all these characters look like themselves without taking away too much. And then I'm like, no, we said that before. We've said that.
We might have. I don't remember. It's very possible. We've been doing this podcast for too damn long. It's very possible. And I agree with that.
We definitely have talked about it just because all we knew at the time was a smaller than this cast list and the art style they were going with. And we looked at it and we're like, okay, you know, for the very simple Steven Universe art style, to real life people, to Looney Tunes they've gone through all kinds of things. Honestly, the only person who looks weird here is Bugs, because we already have a 3D modeled Bugs that exists that doesn't quite look like that.
See, I don't have a huge problem with Bugs. The only one that throws me off for some reason is Wonder Woman, and I think it's just the way her eyes are.
Yeah, she looks like shaded in a different way than everybody else, and it throws me off. But like, I don't know. I look at all these guys, like even Adventure Time, like they had a bunch of different stuff going on. So like seeing them in 3D, I'm like, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird how well all these work together and don't really detract from one another.
I don't know if you are picking up on this, but did you notice Shaggy doesn't have white in his eyes?
I did notice that, actually. I was
like,
actually going to ask.
OG Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up.
Velma has white eyes, and I think it's probably just because of the, glasses. You can't just have white glasses with pupils. But Shaggy does not have white eyes. His eyes are flesh tone.
No, sir, it's because he's high. They're supposed to be red. You fool. I'm lying. But no, it's really interesting and it's really cool. It is kind of cool to see all these art styles come together. And there is you can sign up for the closed alpha. It's like it's like a thing. I have Mighty Mike, friend of the distant acquaintance of the show. Friend of the me.
Acquaintance of the show. There we go.
Acquaintance of the show, friend of the me. Has gotten onto the beta. Like he's been playing it. And like from every account, it's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with it, which is very cool. I'm very happy to hear, like it kind of works. And weird choice to make it free to play. I don't know how I feel about that.
What do you mean weird choice to make it free to play? I'm very down with that.
I'm very down with it. I'm just surprised.
Free to play game where you pay for outfits or something. I'm good with that 100% of the time. It's
a weird choice for a fighting game like this. I don't think there is any other free fighting game like this. I think the only thing that I can come to that's kind of vaguely similar. I was going to say Brawl Stars or Brawlhalla. But Brawlhalla didn't start free to play.
One thing I'll point out to you. But may I point out to you, Dan? This is Warner Brothers.
They don't need the money.
Well, that's the thing. They have more money than God. This is a marketing game.
Yeah, you're very right.
They're drumming up a lot of like sympathy and nostalgia for these characters.
You're absolutely right.
Like, what characters on this list are actively in franchises? A lot of them, like Adventure Time ended, but you got them in here. Now you can sell a special combo pack to people who maybe weren't going to do it. Looney Tunes is still doing stuff off and on here and there. Steven Universe just had a movie come out a little while ago. The DC heroes are hyper active right now, trying to salvage some Game of Thrones nostalgia. Iron Giant is literally, if they make anything with him, I'm going to be pissed, because I assume that he's just here because they had him in Space Jam as well. I would assume that they know that people love the Iron Giant, so anytime they want to bring up some positive feelings, they're just going to pop him in there.
Yeah, he's a very classic animation protagonist. I don't think anybody dislikes that movie.
I would love to find someone who does, because I don't believe they exist.
That was a Brad Bird, wasn't it? Brad Bird. Yeah, Brad Bird. Ratatouille, Incredibles, etc., etc.
Yeah, one of Nina's favorite movies of all time.
As it should be, frankly. It's a good movie. Yeah, interesting. Super interesting choice. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm like insanely hyped for it. I was very confused when I first saw it, and the fact that they kind of are taking it. I'll talk about Lego Star Wars a little bit too, because I have a point where I'm going with this. They're taking it just the right amount of seriously, right? Like characters can take themselves seriously, but the universe doesn't have to. And I think that's like extremely important. It looks like
they're trying to throw together some like story to this. Fall victim to the nothing during the Great Dimensional Cataclysm. And it's like, okay, Smash Bros. Didn't try to introduce like a true story to it until like way late in the game. But whatever, it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it gives them groundwork to lay out for later on. I would be surprised if they do anything with it right away.
Oh, without a doubt, they're not going to do anything right away.
Um,
But they could.
They could, and I'm going to be really interested in seeing how this plays out. I have a couple friends who are still in like or at least in like the semi-pro, I should say, like in the lower league like tournament play for fighting games, and they were like, I don't know how the hell this is going to be like a pro game. Like I don't know how this is going to hit the pro scene, which is how a lot of fighting games live and die. It's part of the reason Smash lasted so long was because the pro community on it is batshit. So it'll be really interesting to see how long this goes and what the general consensus is on it. Speaking of games that take themselves just the right amount of seriously, I would love to talk really briefly about Lego Star Wars, because I don't know if we talked about it on the show or not.
I think you talked about kid surfing.
There is kid surfing, which is very funny. That game is real good.
Which, for context of anyone who isn't familiar,
who didn't watch the episode,
yeah, you cannot kill children in Lego Star Wars.
Correct.
Which is funny because that's kind of like the whole thing that Anakin did, which I guarantee is why they made it so that you couldn't.
100%. That's why they did it. Yes.
However, this does mean that you can use them to float across paths that you shouldn't be able to get past because you keep air comboing them with a Jedi.
It's very funny.
A true power move.
A true power move. An unlimited power move, one might say. I just want to talk really briefly about like Lego Star Wars. The new one is, as somebody who hasn't played a Lego game since like old Lego, like since before there was Lego Star Wars like 3, like the full saga, right? I've not played since then. This game feels weird to come back to. It has like a third person shooting mode. It has combos. You have
I've been seeing a couple of screenshots here and there.
It's weird to shoot a gun in Lego as a third person shooter. Not bad, just weird.
I think one of the things that threw me off when I saw them was or not one of the things that threw me off was after, because I mean, like, a lot was throwing me off. I'm like, wow, the camera angles are better. The it doesn't look like you're walking around a Lego set. It looks like a game with Lego characters, which I'm of mixed opinions, but I don't hate.
What's the interesting thing is that, like, for the most part, all the buildings and stuff are still Lego based. They're just it's like an under layer of like dust.
It doesn't. You don't look like you're looking down at a child's Lego set anymore. It now looks like you're inside the building that is made of Lego.
It's really, really interesting.
One thing that immediately hit me with, well, this is fucking dumb, is I saw a guy talking about characters.
Right?
And he loaded in Ahsoka and Anakin at the same time, like adult Ahsoka and Ahsoka, I'm sorry, and Vader and Mustafar Anakin. And he's like, I'm just so angry that there's no character interaction between these two. This is the first time they've seen each other in forever, and there's no character interaction. It's like, shut the fuck up.
He doesn't know that Ahsoka was added after release, right?
No, that's his point. He says he thinks that they're missing out with these DLC characters not having interactions with people.
Bruh.
And it's like, dude.
Bruh.
Are you stupid?
Bruh.
I actually hate you.
I do hate that all the DLC characters, any DLC character that appears means that like story isn't going to get its own like level creation, right? Like there's not going to be a Rogue One or Solo like world that you can play through, which is kind of that sucks. That's unfortunate. I think a Rogue One would be really fun. But I do agree that like it's a weird take to be like, but why won't they speak? Explain, America, explain. And she's like, fam, you need to deep breath. It's okay.
Do any characters have interactions with each other when they load in together?
Yes, a huge amount, actually. It's amazing. Like a huge percent. Like there are things like personal highlight. That makes
me feel a little better then.
Personal highlight is Emperor trying to be like, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? And Vader being like, you can't keep bringing this up. You've told me 100 times. It's great. But there's a ton of character interaction, and there's a lot of like really interesting. Oh, I wouldn't have expected there to be a line here. Some Grievous like nerds out over Maul's lightsaber rather. Anakin and Obi-Wan obviously have a ton of lines together. It's good. It's very cool and good. But I understand. So I understand a little bit of like, oh, I'm disappointed. But like, they put these in and they didn't. Maybe they did. I'm sure they did have to hire new character or new voice actors for each of these DLC characters, but like not to the same extent as the main game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like it's a DLC for that you at least I got for free. It was, and like if you didn't, I think it was like $5, $10.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I want to talk about it is because I've been playing through it on mostly on stream, but not always. And I really think that this game nails even more. Like all the Lego games have been a little silly, a little serious, right? I think this one nails we don't care how seriously we take this, and yet we're going to show it as much as we possibly can how much we absolutely love the product we're working with, right? Mm-hmm. It's not silly. It definitely isn't serious. It is silly. It's definitely not serious, but it has so much love and care and like just genuine like joy behind each interaction, every cutscene, every set piece, that it's so obvious to see the work that the developers put into it. And I think that's just really cool to be able to see it so cleanly. Highlights include, for me, have so far been literally anytime Kylo Ren is on screen, they just gave him even more eyeshadow than he has in the movies and made him just the most emo boy. And it's great. There's a lot of like ribbing between characters that wasn't there, obviously. There's just, there's a lot like, I just finished up Last Jedi because best Star Wars, whatever. The blue milk scene is a Porg like at a bar serving Luke like sliding it down the bar to him. Like it's great. It's very, very well done. And there are like little things like when the characters run around, you've played Legos in real life, you know that there's like, I can't even describe it. There's certain ways that dust and like debris sticks to Legos, like in like the crevices of like their legs, right? That sounds weird, but you get what I'm saying.
No, yeah, it's just the collection spot for dirt.
Exactly. And but when you're running around in the game, dirt collects there more than anywhere else. Like it has like it feels like you're playing with Legos. There's little tiny like imperfections here and there sometimes that show up. Dirt is the big one that kind of keeps throwing me. Is every now and again I'll be like, hey, look, that character's legs are dirty in the exact way that a real Lego's legs would get dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's dirt buildup in the crease between like their top half and bottom half, and that's rad. The leaving little square footprints in the dust, small, but like that's awesome.
I love the fact that they have taken the time to make footprints square like that. That always has meant a lot to me.
I don't know why. Like it almost feels like, of course it should, but like at the same time, it also shows that there's so much love. Again, that's just another like there's so much love behind the game's creation. And so much love of, like I said, so much love of the property. Things like, hey, we're going to make some of this really serious. And then we're going to be like, but also, look how dumb Kylo is. It's great. Look how stupid, look how great it is when Luke is bullying Rey. It's great. Like, just a lot of fun, a lot of joy. And I've been enjoying it immensely. Personal, like, high key recommendation for anyone who's ever played either Lego game or a Star Wars game.
Man, the thing I love about the Star Wars games, right,
Mm-hmm.
is that I don't know if any of the games have ever done this, but anytime they needed something to like let's say they're like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan chasing after Darth Maul, and he needs to get ahead of you a little bit further, and there's like a cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
Qui-Gon steps forward, but his foot gets stuck in a Lego peg, and he has to like work to like pick it up for a second before he can keep chasing after them. And in the meantime, Maul gets away, and then they catch up with him in the next area kind of situation, you know? Like, I don't know if they've done that, or like people who have to like walk up walls, but luckily there's like a platform of those like, you know, just the studs that go up the wall that they can just like walk up and get to an area. Like walk that vertically. Kind of stuff is like, oh yeah, they can do that. The Lego stud is there.
That's exactly it.
It takes itself the perfect amount of seriously for a Lego. And that feels real nice.
It does. It feels real nice, and it scratches a really nice nostalgic
this is like
itch
playing
from
with
my
Legos
childhood.
kind of itch.
Exactly.
But without some of the limitations.
Exactly. And it's very much, it does feel a little bit like smashing Lego pieces together, and also but it also is still telling the story. Like it's still telling the story. Like there's no The one thing that I thought I wasn't gonna like, and I was surprised, pleasantly surprised by, it's all voice acted now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm used
Which
to them
is
being
interesting to me.
It's super interesting, and I'm used to them being like, you know, the like I expect the mumble, right? Not a thing in this one. I mean, you can turn that on, which is even better, to be honest with you. The way that they let you turn that mode on after the fact, 10 out of 10. But that's not the default is really, really interesting and gives to some weird dynamics as far as both gameplay and like jokes go.
Mm-hmm.
Super good. I'm very happy with it.
It's fun.
No, it's very fun, and I'm genuinely so pleased with it. I cannot recommend it highly enough. The only thing I will say is that at first glance it seems pricey for the $60 price tag. This game has unimaginable, or $50, sorry, unimaginable replayability. Like in the base game, you could at least get through like a large portion of the content on your first playthrough of an area. I literally haven't bothered going back until I'm done with the full game to try and redo any area and like 100% it, because there's so much that's locked behind so many different things that it's literally not worth it.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
It's really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm very happy with it. 10 out of 10.
Dan, what else do we have to talk about today?
I don't know, Brian.
We burned through our topics. This is great.
I did expect that to take a little longer. I won't lie to you.
MutiVersus, Lego Star Wars, like.
Is it a video game episode? I have more video games I can talk about. I always have more video games to talk about.
I would like to not to harp, but I'd like to bring us back to Elden Ring for a minute.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll suffer through this.
Have you picked the game up again?
No, I have not. I have firmly decided that like unless I've not picked it up since March. So unless something changes, I do still plan on eventually going back to it. I have like 16 other things going on right now. Minecraft's coming out with a new update in like the next 3 or 4 weeks. I'm still playing Skyrim because I'm lost in 2012. Like I'm not proud of myself for it, but here I am.
But still though, I have I ended up sticking with the game, as I'm sure you're shocked to hear.
I can't believe it.
I know, right? And I'm currently I'm close to wrapping up my second playthrough. Not counting my New Game Plus guy. And I love this game so much. I'm very much looking forward to any DLC that ends up happening. And I would like to just real quick, I want to talk with you about this because it's hard to voice this online. So I'm not going to, instead I'm going to voice it at you and you're going to have to put up with it.
Okay.
So, firstly, a friend of mine is playing this game in the most insane order I've ever seen. I'm just looking at his achievements where he beat like the hardest boss in the game well before he beat Melania well before he got to the next to last story boss.
That's wild.
And that blows my mind. He's collected all the weapons, all the talismans, and all kinds of other stuff. But he hasn't touched the final boss yet, which insane to me. Insane to me. Anyway, though, I have seen some people when this game dropped and was 1 month old who would sit there and they would pretend that the game was abandoned by the developers because some of the patches were taking longer to fix than they could have.
Amazing.
And they're like, devs abandoned the game, not worth playing. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because we've had several updates. Updates don't come out of nowhere. They're not doing quick patches unless it's a game break problem, They're doing like regular shit, like big patches when they're needed on a schedule, not impulsive things.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Some people were like, I can't believe we haven't heard any DLC announcement yet. And it shows. It really shows that people who are into this right now were not into the Souls games before.
I was gonna say, because DLC doesn't... Souls doesn't do DLC, does it?
Oh, that's very incorrect, actually. Each game has had DLC that everyone has pretty much universally agreed is the best part of the game. Is one of their DLCs is like far and above the greatest part of the game. I don't remember which part, which Scholar of What Sin the Dark Souls 2 one was that people were like, this is so good. But they loved that DLC. The Bloodborne DLC, people went head over heels for. Dark Souls 1 and 2, same thing. And it's just like shit like that. People are like, a lot of people are like, statistically, we still haven't even seen the best part of Elden Ring yet. But it shows that this game has reached out to a lot more people than the Souls games did, because people are asking questions that are like, dude, the game's like 3 weeks old. Of course they haven't announced DLC yet. They planned for it, I'm sure, but they're not going to announce it until it's like almost time to go.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I would like to float this information. It's the fact that this game has been more popular than the new Call of Duty. It outsold Call of Duty.
That's wild to me,
And I
actually.
think that's absolutely insane. I want to say that the game is performing 2 or 3 times better than FromSoft had prepared for it to perform, which is why they're like, I'm pretty sure Dark Souls multiplayer servers are still down, because they have to account for Elden Ring being so just huge. It's taken up too much space on their stuff, and they have to manage the active game first. And I don't know. I love that. I love that a lot, because it just shows that people aren't really paying attention or like having any critical thinking skills here, because of course the brand new game that is performing so much heavier than they anticipated is moving a little slowly on some other announcements. They're riding the first wave, and then when it starts to actually dip, because some people are like, oh, Steam metrics show not many people are playing Elden Ring anymore. It's like, yeah, no way. They beat the game, and then they played it a few more times, and then only the hardcore guys are going to keep playing the game. Damn, that's wild. Steam metrics really are a great thing to show how dead a game is. LOL.
True.
But
everyone knows that's the only way, actually.
It's true. It's so true. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm sure that once they actually start to see a decline, they're going to announce DLC. This is my prediction. They're going to start seeing like a bit of a more decline in like their actual consistent player base below their projected numbers, because they're still above their numbers, like, so until they start seeing it go down more, there's no reason to try and pump life into it ahead of schedule. I guarantee we see 6 months out, they announce some DLC.
Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable at all.
At 6 months from release. So what is that? Like 2-3 months from now? Maybe 4?
That sounds right.
I don't know.
I think 2 or 3.
I can't keep track of days, but like, that's when I'm expecting to see something, right? Like, you're not going to see it out right away. That would be dumb.
Yeah, it's almost a statement on like, yeah, of course Lego Star Wars had DLC day one because it's a character pack.
Exactly. It's like, oh man, I can't believe, like, what people used to hate day one DLC. Like, why now a game is popular and it's like, where's its day one DLC? It's like, shoot, dude, wait for it. It's every story game that makes you wait for DLC. I'll put that asterisk on there because I think that's actually an important asterisk. Every story game that makes you wait for DLC, the DLC is worth it. They don't want you to blow your load right from the get-go and play through the whole game immediately. I can't tell you the number of times I haven't touched a game's DLC when it's an older game and I get like the Game of the Year edition or something. So it has like all their stuff, Ultimate Edition, this, that, the other thing.
Yeah.
And then I don't touch the extra story modes or anything because it's like, well, this is too much. I don't want to deal with this. This is simply too many things.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, and it's also one of those things of like, I'm not a fan of like when you do get a DLC thing and then it gives you all that DLC content right away, and it's always like just way stronger than anything else you get. Like I'm thinking of like even Dying Light. Dying Light 2 had some like day one DLC or Ultimate Edition DLC, and like the weapons you got out of it were just better.
Oh yeah,
It like, why?
This was actually an issue with Morrowind that I used to have too, and this is funny. I found out it was a bug.
Oh really?
So yeah, I had the Morrowind Game of the Year edition with guidebook. So Tribunal, Blood Moon, and the Creation Pack. So I had like the whole thing.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards. However, here's the problem, Dan. Back in the day of CD games, if there's a bug, you're just kind of hosed. That's it. You're done. Correct. Well, the bug in this case is that when you hit level 10, you start getting attacked by the Dark Brotherhood. Someone puts a hit out on you, and you can't stop that until you visit Mournhold, I think. However, Dan, now hypothetically, this bug. What if it attacked you at level 1 the first time you rest upon getting off the boat?
Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. So like if you rested in the wilderness, you would be getting chased down by this guy no matter where because he can run further than you. So you would never be able to outrun him, and the guards aren't going to intervene and fight him because the guard AI is not that good. You can hide from him inside and pop outside, but that's the best you got, you know?
Wild.
But did you know, Dan, that enemies don't regen health?
Well, you do.
Uh-huh. So what you did is my brother and I worked out this great strat, which is apparently a very popular one because this was a huge bug that never got fixed because they couldn't. What you would do is there was a house in the opening town of Sedanin that was empty. There was only one guy who, because people don't go in buildings in the game, they can't change their area. The guy who owned it lived outside and it was always unlocked and available. So you'd go in and you'd go and sleep in his hammock, and then you'd get jumped by the Dark Brotherhood, and you would immediately leave, heal, walk back in, do as much damage as you could, leave, heal, go back in, and wash, rinse, repeat until you kill the assassin, and then there you are, level 1 with a level 10 armor set that you can wear because there's no level locked armor. You get a poison dagger, you get the Dark Brotherhood armor set. I think the poison dagger was silver too, and then you get some like silver darts. Like it's a whole thing. Great. Yeah. And since they would continue to try and kill you until you got to Mournhold, you could keep farming their armor as long as you wanted. I think eventually they even sent like 2 guys after you, but I might be making that up in my memories of this game. The point though, I don't remember what the point was, if we're being honest. I don't remember.
The point is that sometimes DLC breaks.
Oh yes, thank you so much. The point is that DLC can break the intended flow of the game in a pretty dramatic way. Because like if you went to Mournhold and then you tried to fight anything there, you would realize immediately that this was a city made for like level 10 to 20 people. Or like if you went in the Blood Moon DLC and you went over to Iceland, whatever the Iceland equivalent is in that game, I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
It's shit, you go there in Skyrim too. It's a frosty place. Solstheim. You know, you go there and it's like, nice, look at this. They all kill me immediately. So you leave because you can't do it. You know, that's at least a level cap thing. But the armor, on the other hand, that just made you like not unkillable, but it definitely helped your squishy little self.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and it's interesting. I think that some games do it really well. Like it's very possible to have it be like, hey, this gear, you can get it whenever you want. It will scale with your level. I think level scaling gear is so nice as a DLC reward because it does mean that you can go do this whenever you want and still have it feel like it matters even into the late game. Because sometimes it's like, and I don't have a specific game off the top of my head, but I know I've experienced it of like, hey, you want to go get. Actually, you know what? No, I've been experiencing it in fucking Skyrim where a bunch of shit is like level scaled depending on when you pick it up. And like, oh yeah, if you pick this up at like level 20, it's some of the best gear in the game. If you pick it up at level 10, it's good.
Fallout did that too. There's the power armor sets.
Yeah,
that have a range of depending on where you load that cell the first time.
Exactly.
So you can walk past it and never see it, but lock it into the lowest level power armor if you were low level. But if you go there at level 50, it's the nicest armor in the game or something in that ballpark.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that.
Well, and I love that, but I would rather it just be scaled on. Like it should I almost would rather it scale with you, right? Like I'd almost rather it be like, oh, if you go and pick it up at level 0, yeah, it's going to be level 0. But hey, here's this thing you can do to upgrade it later on the line that brings it back up in line with your current level.
There's so I'm hit or miss on that, and I'm going to invoke another game that I talk too much about, Dragon Age. My issue with Dragon Age 2 is that your armor, you are the only person who gets armor.
Okay.
And all of your companions who you, in the previous game and in the later game, can pimp out however you want in these just cool looks. Well, no, you can't do that anymore. You're not allowed. They have their canon armor outfit that scales. and you can upgrade it and stuff like that when it doesn't scale like properly. There's like other things that you can do. And that bums me out because I don't enjoy because there has to be some give and take. And when the best armor in the game is a scaling set of armor, well, even if it's the second or third best in the game, why would exactly, even if it's not the best, but the best is a contrived set that you throw together. Well, why would you use that when you could use the best armor in the game that's preset and ready to go?
That's fair. That's very fair. I do see that, and I do agree with that to a point. I do feel like there's got to be some nice middle ground though, where like, if I go do the Dark Brotherhood quest early on and pick up a dagger that's level scaled, it's the reward for finishing the entire quest line, and then 10 levels later that dagger fucking sucks. Like, that doesn't feel good either. Like, it very much feels like, I did all this work, but like, it's going to be outclassed by something some random schmuck is carrying because that's what the level scaling works.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, there's got to be some way to give and take it. Like, I've been playing it modded, whatever. I ran into it's a modded quest about going and finding the Grey Cowl before they added the Grey Cowl to like the Creation Club. It's very fun, whatever, but in that quest line, there's a dagger that you can pick up that is extremely good. It's like a late game high enchanted ebony dagger.
Nice.
I was able to get it before level 20. Like, I was at like level 15. I picked it up, and so it became my primary weapon for a long time. That also isn't great.
No,
like that's also not
like it's. I think Jackson and I talked about this with to bring it back to Elden Ring, even.
Please, yeah.
Where it's not as fun to play the game when you're one-shotting every enemy you come across and things like that, so that you're constantly knocking things out way too quickly and the bosses melt in front of you and things like that. It's not as much fun as earning your victory. While there's parts of me that's like, well, Jackson, have you considered sometimes I want to bulldoze my enemy? It's like, okay, fine. I can actually grind to get to that point and bulldoze everyone if I really want to.
Yeah.
But I definitely get where he's coming from, where it's like, I get it. That makes a lot of sense. You don't want to be handed an end game weapon early game so that you're not playing maybe the exact style that you want.
Sure. It's also kind of
example I'm thinking of, just to round my thought and then go back to you.
Come back. Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to be the dagger guy. I know you do, but like maybe you don't want to be the dagger guy.
Actually. Fun fact, in that run, I don't. I'm a punch boy. So I punch good.
So you wanted to be punch boy, but how are you gonna turn down end game dagger?
Exactly.
Early game.
Use it as a crutch.
That point, you get way too used to it. So why would you go back to the punch boy commitment when you have dagger energy?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely what it is. And it's really, really fascinating to me. It's really fascinating to me, like the different ways that things try to balance that. Like Elden Ring does that kind of interesting thing where each weapon it does sort of scale with you, right? Like to a point, because they all have their different stat bonuses, like different things that affect their stat bonuses. Whereas something like Skyrim obviously doesn't, Dragon Age doesn't, and it almost is this problem of like going into like a Terraria or a Minecraft server and your friend handing you a bunch of late game gear. Like, yeah, that's great, that's fun, but if part of the fun of it is getting to that gear, yeah, cool. Now I get to get the in-game content right away, but that's maybe not what I was going for.
There's certain things that it's like, cool, thank you for helping me skip the copper pickaxe era by giving me like a 2 level up pickaxe.
Exactly.
But there's definitely a difference between a mildly bumped up pickaxe and, oh yeah, I gave you a full set of cobalt armor because, I thought you might like it. It would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard to find a good way to balance that. And I don't fault game designers for just being like, no, you get your leveled up gear. Like, I don't fault them for any of it. I think it's a really hard thing to try and balance, and it means that you have to build out an entire balance system based around the fact that characters can level up their gear and like they can be getting it at different scales and yada yada. I do think that it's really unfortunate. What I like is something almost like sort of pseudo like Dying Light, where it has like, oh hey, you have like 17 different tiers, and then there's one that's like, gray to purple, but there's also unique tier where unique weapons will scale with you. Everything else won't. You got to keep upgrading it, and unique may not be the best, but it will always be at least okay for where you're at. I think that it's hard, like, as somebody who's always like, oh, this weapon has a name, I will hold on to it and stick it in my storage and look at it later.
Yeah.
Like, I like having.
And then you never touch it, but hey, you still have it.
Well, next time you play Skyrim, there's a mod called Legacy of the Dragonborn that gives you a house that will store unique copies of every single loot item, basically one of everything. It'll store one of every book, one of every, like, it's great. It's a fucking amazing mod. It has its own, like, quest lines and stuff. It has its own quest lines and stuff involved with it. Has different companion mods that will, like, add content and, like, help keep track of content for you. It's fucking amazing.
I like stuff like that.
I do. I love having little collectibles.
I mean, I gotta be honest. I tried to like deck out my house, and it really didn't go for me.
No, well, and also
the house kind of sucked.
Skyrim house design is hard. Legacy also has a really neat storage system where it auto sorts everything for you. There's just a sort chest, and you dump everything in there, and it automatically puts it where it needs to be. Which is, I gotta tell you, 1,000 out of 10. Literally 1,000 out of 10. 100,000 out of 10 even. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to try and balance that. I don't have all the answers for it. I would just like to see it done in a more interesting way that makes especially unique quest rewards actually matter. Because nothing feels worse than getting a special, like, oh, it has a cool effect on it, but also 5 levels from now it's gonna suck. Like, that just doesn't feel good. Side note, have I talked to you about Punch Boy McGee? My just real, like, 2 seconds, real quick punch.
Yeah.
I've gotten him all but one piece of the gear that I need. I am now 3 power attacking dragons.
Fuck, dude, that's
with fists. It's so stupid.
That's pretty great.
If I can, because the specific skill gives a power attack bonus based on move speed, like a multiplier, and I have a couple of different things that are increasing my move speed. So as long as I can land a power attack on something, I'm usually killing it in one hit. Full stop. I punched it. I punched a dragon priest in the face the other day. Just it's a very dumb build. That. It's very fun.
I think the best part of Elder Scrolls punch builds is because they attack stamina first. Once you get going, as whoever gets knocked first is doomed.
Yeah,
great.
It's really dumb. It's really dumb. It meant that I stopped putting points into Magicka, because usually I do mage builds or archer builds, but, like, this has been just, I'm running around in, like, a robe because it gives really fun, like, stealth bonuses and some fucking fisticuffs, and I run up on things and I punch them in the face and then they die, and that's just a life we live now. It's very funny. It's a very dumb build. I actually, because you had mentioned, hey, maybe I don't always want to one-tap enemies. I might start putting points into other things, but not yet. not yet. I have a little more fun to have.
Nice.
It's very fun.
Very exciting.
Skyrim's one of those games that I really would love to do as a stream game at some point, kind of like what you did. But I also know that if I do that, I absolutely must not allow myself to make it a only play this on stream game, because I will literally just never finish it.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely get that. I played a lot off stream, but I tried not to do story stuff off stream, but the game also started crashing on me, which is why I stopped playing. So that was on me. Yeah, I should have done the special edition.
Actually, the special edition's really nice.
Legendary edition. Whichever one is the stable edition, I should have done that, but I went with the other one because I heard it had more mods, and
that would have been Legendary. Legendary had more mods.
No, the unstable one has more mods.
That's what I'm saying. Legendary has more mods. Longer. That's the old one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The new one is much more
stable. I was working on. Yeah, and it's like, oh, it has less mods. And then I'm like, but the good mods are there.
Yeah.
The good mods got ported.
Yeah, exactly. It's really nice. I'm enjoying playing it. Next time we come around to play to like, hey, I'm gonna start, because it's one of those games I'm gonna circle back to again in another 4 years. Like, I just know I am. Until Starfield and ES6 come out, I'm gonna end up circling back to it. That's just how I am.
I finally hit a point where I think I'm willing to play ES6.
I'm glad. I was not. It made me sad when you were like, no.
I need to be so heavily removed from Elder Scrolls fans so that I can actually try to enjoy Elder Scrolls games.
That's the problem.
Fair. But I think I'm at a point where I'm like, yeah, I could play that. I think I could do that. You know what else I could do though? Is
What
I
else
really
could
want to
you do?
get into more of the Resident Evil games.
I was gifted one of them, and I can't play it because it doesn't work on Win 10, and I'm very upset.
No, which one?
7,
It
4,
doesn't
4,
No, 7 definitely
4.
plays.
It was 4.
Really?
Res 4 does
It
not
doesn't play
work.
on 10?
Does not work on Win 10.
That's wild.
Actually, you know what? January they had an update. You know what? They actually had an update in January this year. Maybe it does work now. I don't know. But it hasn't had an update since like forever, so I'm not that annoyed about it. Brian gave it to me and I wanted to play it.
Yeah, Brian gave me 7, and then I bought 8, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been so lost in 8. That's on me though. That's not anyone else's fault.
How the fuck? And I'm just scrolling through my library with Resident Evil in it. How the fuck is the original Resident Evil 17.5 gigs? How?
I don't think it is. I think the PC port is that big.
Jeez us. Oh, because it's a remastered HD version. But even then, Jesus fuck. That's huge.
Not for the remastered HD version.
Res 4 is 13. Res 0 is 11 and a half. Resident Evil 2 Revelations Remaster is 30.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Have you seen it? They're gorgeous.
The fuck? Bruh.
I don't know. But it really is making me want to check out more horror games, because I don't know. Did you ever watch Resident Evil 8 playthrough?
No. I don't fuck with horror games. You know me.
Okay, so there is and I'm gonna spoil this mildly because I know you
Never
would
gonna play
want
it.
this spoiled before you touched it anyway if you were gonna play it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're familiar with like the dollhouse, right?
No, I don't think I am.
Okay, so there's 4 bosses in the game. One of them is a person with like a face like disfigurement. There's like fungus growing out of her face, so she wears a veil and does all her talking through a ventriloquist dummy thing, you know?
Spooky.
But that also means that the house is full of dolls. However, while that was pre-made to make me unhappy, what was so much worse was when I went down to the basement and not in the main house, and it was the house. Shout out to Rob, friend of the podcast, who explained the finer points of the house to me, which is that the house operates under your fears and it just amplifies and reflects them back at you. So like the whole game, you're afraid because your daughter was kidnapped, and that's a big thing. You're trying to recollect. She was turned into crystal, broken into 4 parts, and distributed to various people. So your job is to collect all the parts back. Don't think about it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason in game. Don't think about it. The main point is that you focus on your daughter a lot. So I end up in this house that reflects your fears back at you. It's a giant baby, Dan. And when I say it's a giant baby, let's see. I'm going to send you a picture of this, and I need you to know that it is horrific. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. I think I can handle this.
So I'm going to send you the picture of it in the light first. This is just its model. So you can see it, okay?
I'm ready.
And eventually it will load, I'm sure.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. So that's the baby.
I have seen this.
This is what it looks like in the dark, crawling at you, making baby noises.
Spooky. Hate that.
It's honestly, dare I say, Dan, one of the worst things that could happen.
Yeah.
I hate it so much. And it has this sick animation where it eats you. And it's like a one-hit kill kind of situation. It grabs you and shoves you in its mouth.
Amazing.
I actually think that you would enjoy watching that because it is a very good, it is a very like well done bit. I see here that there is a mod that removes the baby from the game.
That feels like it removes the
which
point.
is, I would agree, but hey, more power to them, I guess.
Don't play a horror game if you're not ready to be spooked.
That it's by far the scariest part of the game.
Well, and that's actually not, I don't even agree with what I just said. Like, that's not true. Like, you should be able to play a game however you want, whatever. But also, it is weird, the idea of like...
It is much worse because you don't have a gun. You have to avoid the thing the whole time. The baby noises are upsetting. The baby itself is just a horrific to look at and see. You listen to baby sound as it chases after you. Horrifying. Not a fan. But it's so memorable. It's hands down the best part of the game. All that being said, I am like, I wouldn't want to remove it. I think it's important to have it there. I think it's a really good addition. But I loved this section because I'm like, shit, dude, this was very scary. And Rob was like, you should check out Silent Hill because this house is just Silent Hill, a little snippet of it in a Resident Evil game. And I found Silent Hill 2 is on PC, and more importantly, the enhanced edition that makes it more stable and look a little bit nicer is on here.
Interesting.
And when I say look a little bit nicer, here I'm gonna link you
full graphic overhaul.
No. Here I'm gonna link you to the website. If you scroll halfway down the page, there is a slider that you can just like go left and right.
Oh,
and
that
check
is
out what
that
it
is
looks like.
subtle but nice. All right.
Yeah, it's nicer shading and it makes it widescreen. And it looks like it's just a shading enhancer, so it looks a little less dated.
I mean, that's nice though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be neat to check this out. Now, some of the stuff, the light blooms are miserable. But then other stuff, it looks like it actually does improve like some of the fog stuff, make it a little better and stuff like that. I don't know. But as long as the game is stable, I'm gonna pick it up, and that's gonna be a stream game that I pick up, I think.
I think it's a good choice.
I don't know. There's a lot going on with it that I think could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. I will not play it. I might not even watch you play it.
Wouldn't expect you to.
Because I don't like being spooked.
Nope. Very understandable. It's definitely a thing that if you don't like it, you're not going to like it at all.
Yeah.
But hey, there's options out there.
Well, who knows? Maybe someday I'll stop being a little bitch.
Maybe. Day could always come. But until that day comes, Dan, where can people find you if they want to hear that you're going to start looking into it?
Damn, it's been a long time since I've had to do this. Twitch and Twitter. That's it.
Shit, dude. That was bad.
That's it.
Born to Rule on Twitch. Born to Rule 57 on Twitter.
No. Twitch and Twitter. Nothing else.
See, I want to try and get back into this because I think that it was a better way to end the podcast than to just randomly end.
I don't know. I do feel like the random end is very funny.
What do you mean it's very funny?